Greetings, Mr. Ambassador. I am Martin Ayim. Um, well, Mr. Ambassador, we appreciate your effort in Africa, and we are very hopeful that it will continue. My question, a prosperous Africa, Mr. Ambassador, is one whose problems are tackled, the root causes of problems are tackled head-on. If we go round and round, we don't tackle the problems, Africa will continue to be struggling. I'm asking in the area of human rights abuse, human rights protection, and genocide, ongoing genocide in Africa right now, case in point, British Southern Cameroon's Amazonia. And the second problem is uncompleted decolonization on the continent. Where that is not the case, when there's no completed decolonization, there's a problem. The question is, what is and what will it take for the US to make a statement and stop genocide and foster colonization and foster the implementation of, stopping decolonization?
You've hit about five subjects there, but I will do my best going through there. Okay, number one. I think when I spoke to this group the first time, I said that over my many years in Africa, one kind of philosophy I built up for what the U.S. should and shouldn't do. I am not a proponent. I don't support issuing lots and lots of empty statements. With each new statement, you devalue the currency. And, if you issue statements, it makes you feel good, but it doesn't achieve anything. I really want to focus on achieving things. And I have found that one of the really, really good mechanisms or tools the United States has in moderating behavior are our sanctions policies. I have been absolutely, in many ways, delighted when I have visited around the continent, speaking to people, including leaders who have complained to me bitterly when we have sanctioned, say, a senior vice president someplace. And lo and behold, you find out that then the leaders start thinking, oh, wow, the United States sanctioned a senior vice president. Could they be getting ready to sanction me next? Because those sanctions really hurt, especially the elites. They really, really hurt. And I maintain that our sanctions policy has had an awful lot to do with some very recent advances moving forward. So I'm not that much into saying empty words. Sometimes we've issued so many statements that about the only way they would be impactful is dropping a carton of them on the head of the person we want to sanction. So I'm not into. I really want to change behavior. I want to end the atrocities, and then of course you hit on one of my deeply heartfelt pains, and that's Cameroon. And I keep thinking about what more could we be doing in Cameroon, because I know that every day the situation grows worse and worse. And in my own discussions with Cameroonians, I point out to the fact that look at the United States of America. We won every single battle in Vietnam and we lost the war. And every day that the pain and the suffering goes on, unfortunately, more and more the people who live in Western Cameroon are starting to think seriously about favoring independence. And that, again, United States view is a unified Cameroon. We support a unified Cameroon because the last thing Africa needs is another mini-state that will be full of poverty and suffering and needing billions of dollars of foreign assistance to make it. And then what happens if you split off part of Cameroon? What happens in parts of Nigeria? So that's not what Africa needs at all. But the Cameroonian government needs to get serious about a genuine peace process, genuine decentralization, genuine power to the local level. And then you mentioned neocolonialism and colonialism. I remember that the first decision that the newly created Organization of African Unity had to take, very difficult decision, if you remember, was whether or not to recognize the colonial borders or to redraw them. And after much discussion, they took the very painful decision that they had to go with the colonial borders because the alternative was much worse. You had two very bad alternatives, and they went with the lesson. And I know that that continues to be a huge problem in Africa. So thank you very much for the question.
Thank you very much, Ambassador NAGY. And to my brothers and sisters, please stop trying to sneak in 2 questions. I have a lot of hands back there. I really need to give people the opportunities to bring their issues to the Assistant Secretary. And just I'll come to you. I just want to read a couple of questions that we got from Twitter. I think one you've already answered, but you might want to add to it. The first one has to do with Cameroon. And it is understanding that the right to self-determination is a right enshrined in international law. What are your views and prospects for addressing the escalating armed conflicts in Cameroon? I think you've answered that one, but if you want to add to it, certainly feel free to do so. The second one, and I think the genesis of this question has to do with the recent ban on Nigeria in terms of visa, the discussion that we're having. The question really is, where does Nigeria fit into U.S. strategy for Africa?
Well, the second one.
Ambassador, thank you so much. I'm from Cameroon. I'm from southern Cameroon. Please. Please. I'm a mother. It's been a lot of talk. We need action. People got massacred recently. We need you to take action, please.
The question speaks for itself. It's not even a question. And I think we all understand exactly what you're saying. As I said, Cameroon has pained me more than any other issue I've had to deal with. Human suffering is not philosophical. It's not something up there. I'll never forget that as a little boy in Budapest during the Hungarian Revolution, I saw people that had been run over by the Soviet tanks. And even when you're 7 years old, that picture stays in your mind forever. So I totally understand. I wish there was a magic bullet that we could fire to fix the situation. As I said, the international community needs to be absolutely united on this. Because of the outrages recently, I'm very much hoping that there will be much more of a unity in our willingness to be firmer in responding to this with the Cameroonian government. I wish the Cameroonian government would recognize the fact that there's no way they are going to win this militarily. As Gandhi said, when you have a policy based on an eye for an eye, sooner or later the whole world is blind. And that is exactly what is happening there. It's a disaster. It is absolutely needless. And I wish that there was a simple way to just put a stop to it at this moment. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And the lady right behind you.